This is called Knocking Out Growth and Acquisitions with KO Storage. I don't know if anyone's followed KO Storage on LinkedIn, but I know I sure have. And these guys are growing like crazy. So I have two of the co-founders with us today. I have Andrew and John. I'm going to bring them on screen. Hey, Andrew. Hey, John.
Good. How you doing?
How you doing?
Hey, and I think we're missing one of the three partners. Ryan wasn't able to make it, but I'll let you guys speak on his behalf. So funny story. I wanted to play intro music for each of these sessions, and I had emailed Chip from your team if I could play LL Cool J. Mama said knock you out. But unfortunately, when we live stream this on YouTube, Google will probably take all that down because of copyright issues. So we opted not to play music. But anyway, thanks for joining us today. Andrew, I'll start with you. If you could give us a brief rundown of who you are, what you do with KO, how you came to the creation of KO, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, so appreciate you having us on. Honored to be here. Love the platform you all have built and this event. But John and I are college buddies, and upon having quick success with an e-commerce business him and I started up, needed something to do to parlay some of the gains we were having there, and quickly realized real estate was a great avenue for us. We both had a background in different asset classes and just kind of serendipitously fell into self-storage. Found a deal in Wisconsin that was completely mismanaged, run into the ground. It was a 2013 build, but the gentleman had completely run it into the ground. So we quickly implemented technology and a technology-first approach, quickly got it up to full capacity and realized we could just be off to the races. We took a technology-first approach in the B and tertiary markets, and as our e-commerce business continued to grow in 2015 and into 16, realized that the nature of this business being such a mom and pop operated industry and inverse of other real estate asset classes it was ripe for consolidation. So we just came in and continuously acquired, calling the B and tertiary markets, and tried to implement a technology first approach. Fast forward to today, we've built a portfolio of 105 properties in 16 states and are just continuously growing and trying to continuously refine our operations and continuously implement best-in-class technology.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that rundown. John, give us your 2 cents on all this.
Yeah, no, I mean, he kind of covered most of the strategy, but, it's been fun. It's something that kind of started as just a side hustle or way to invest along the side. Has really scaled into, what it is today. And now we're doing anywhere from 1 to 3 closings a month, combination of acquisitions, and, also started our construction company this year. So we do a lot of add-on builds as well as ground up developments, and really just finding ways to kind of hit the ground running as fast as we can with storage. It's evolved quite quickly, and we're here for the ride.
Awesome. I had the pleasure of speaking with Chip a couple weeks ago. I actually interviewed him, and you guys have been around a little bit longer than I had thought, but the bulk of the growth has been over the last 2 years. Kind of give me a rundown of, how all that occurred for you guys.
Yeah, we organically started and grew organically for the first few years. In 2016 was when we actually bought our first facility, and it was just John and I sitting in an office doing every single moving piece of the business, from onboarding to legal to banking to operations, you name it, we touched it. And going into 2017, we bought a few more facilities. It was in 2018, towards the end of the year, that we realized, to John's point, this was no longer a side hustle for us. At which point, I think we had 25, 35 facilities, and it was just him and I bootstrapping it, doing every single piece of the business. Anywhere I went, I had the phone and the computer with me. I did all the bookkeeping. I handled and oversaw the operations. And we decided collectively that now was the time to staff up, hire up, and go on a buying spree. So we brought some industry vets in from a larger organization who had more industry experience. We bought an office building, And then 2019, we ramped up, we hired, and we just continued to grow. And then in 2020, I would say when, COVID kind of hit, we aggressively bought more. I think when a lot of people were kind of in the pause or sit and wait, maybe playing more of a defensive approach, we were on the offensive, buying a lot of the technology we had in place since day one allowed us to run these remote contactless, a lot of automation in place. So I think that was very helpful for us in 2020.
Yeah, it's just to reiterate some of the numbers too. I mean, at the end of 18, we were probably about 475,000 square feet. End of 19 was just shy of 1 million. End of 20, just over 2 million, and we're on track to be over 4 by the end of this year with what we have under contract or building. So, not to say we can continue that trajectory of doubling every year, but that's kind of been, the growth rates accelerated as we continued.
Yeah, well, those are impressive numbers considering you did all of that through a national pandemic when, most people kind of halted and were trying to figure out like, what direction do I even go with this? Do I spend money? Do I not spend money, et cetera? So tell me now you guys have a pretty decent sized internal call center. Walk me through some of those techniques that you've came up with through the way, because I know that the bulk of your locations are what we would consider in the industry unmanned. You're running them remotely. Share with the audience kind of why you guys have decided to go that direction.
Yeah, I mean, from the start, when we initially got things rolling with 1 or 2 facilities, we realized, and this, back in 2016, that a lot of the, in-person, communication was unnecessary, as well as the overhead that comes with that. If you're paying every employee, 30 to 50 grand a year, depending on the market, to sit there full time and sell a couple boxes and locks, net, you might get a few more rentals because you have that physical presence, but for the most part, people can do the movements on their phone. They can handle that, they can sign a lease on their phone, and as long as they have a number to call and someone who can answer the phone, we found that being available and answering the phone was the most important part. People need storage, they need it now, and they're going to start at the top of the list on Google and work their way down. So we focused on that, and what was initially done, for efficiency when COVID hit, we were running in that capacity. And it was, it enabled us to kind of put the pedal to the metal at that point in time when a lot of people were questioning, okay, how do we shift our operations to be contactless, et cetera. And now a lot of the industry has, come along and adopted that as a more normalized approach. But we also, needed to have a good focus of maintaining, eyes on the facilities. So between getting cameras installed, as well as having what we call kind of like, regional facility managers, where one employee might oversee, a 50-mile circumference of multiple facilities rather than one per facility, worked a lot better, and we continue to deploy that. We initially, as Andrew mentioned, he was on the cell phone and every number forwarded there, and that evolved into a call center with, I think, almost 15 agents now, and that also was kind of built organically. Some of the earlier people in our company that were in the call center are now district managers for us and have elevated in the company, and it's really a good training ground for a lot of our staff to learn the ins and outs of the business, deal with customers, deal with issues head on, and then have potential to grow from there too.
That's awesome. Andrew, anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I think John, sized it up pretty well. Definitely one of the larger, fastest growing, call departments within our organization. I think we're handling 20 to 25,000 calls per month. And like every other department, we're continuously trying to implement more technology, more robust technology, have better pulse on the business through, data and analytics. So again, sure. Another area where we're just continuously trying to refine the technology. We for sure have a lot of room for improvement there, but we're learning and getting better every day, I think.
Awesome. How about some tips and tricks you can give to some newer owners and operators? The SBOA membership, we've got quite a wide variety. We have the REITs, we have third-party management groups that are aligned with us. We have the smaller, mom and pops, tertiary market, but the industry is getting a lot of focus because it has been recession resilient throughout the pandemic. Tell me some of those, thoughts that you may have to be successful in this space based on your own experience.
Sure. I'm sure John has a few, and mine are probably different, not to steal maybe some of his thunder, but I think, most importantly is, the deal and sizing it up properly and regardless of how good of an operator you may or may not be, if you enter the deal, by paying too much or it's not a proper entrance, it's hard to outwork that. So I think that's one. But I think, what I would say most importantly would be that, as you mentioned, it's more competitive than ever. When we started, finding deals or off-market deals or broker deals was not even close to what it is today. And I think what has helped us with our growth and be able to continue to acquire is a lot of the early relationships we made. And there's a lot of people now entering the space, to your point. And very quickly, when they talk to a seller and they say they're not ready or they're not sellers, the phone gets hung up and they're on to the next property. I think building a rapport and a relationship and going to touch the property and really getting to know the seller is what can help people entering this industry really win those deals. It's more competitive than ever. And the better relationship you can build and stay in front of these people and continue to communicate and ingratiate yourself with these sellers, I think the more success there will be, or the better you'll be able to set yourself apart from the REITs or the people who are also trying to get that same deal.
Awesome. John, you feel the same way there?
Yeah, absolutely. On the acquisition side, and I think as you're learning the industry and building, as we started out, I mean, if you work these facilities and educate yourself on how to handle the financial aspects of them, as Andrew said, making sure you buy right, making sure, your expenses are in check, you work with the lenders and you get a good understanding of the financial aspects, to be able to scale, with your own capital in an industry like this is it's there. You should every year be looking at your financials, revaluing your property, using debt to your advantage. And looking for ways that you can take that and parlay it either by adding on to your existing, acquiring others, moving on. But, the more you work it, the more you educate yourself. Your first couple of deals might not be the greatest, but the third, fourth, and fifth is where you really kind of start to hit a stride. So
that's awesome. Any insights you can give us for your plans for 2022? What's going on over there at KO?
We're going to keep the pedal to the metal. So, we've never been ones to force deals or put projections or have a certain growth rate. We don't have necessarily like a fund or a gun to our head to deploy capital. It's really just been organic as we find deals. We move forward to close them. So, love to say we'll keep growing at the same rate, and we'll just do everything we can to do that. So.
That's awesome. And you've got Chip leading the charge over there. He's an excellent guy, excellent resource. Love when I get the opportunity to email or chat with him. So good hire there on your end, guys, for sure.